Alright, so now we're going to talk about ownership, insurable interest, and risk of loss in particular transactions. Alright, now pay close attention to this stuff because it can get a little bit confusing. Alright, existing goods identified at the time of contracting. Okay, so that's all we're talking about, existing goods. Alright, now, title of goods identified at contracting and not transported pass to the buyer at the time and place of contracting. Okay, you go to Walmart, you buy a TV. Okay, you say, hey, I want that TV. I want it right now. So guess what? You now own the TV whenever you pay for it. Right then and there. Done deal. Easy. All right. Title of transported good passes to buyer when seller has completed delivery. Okay? You got merchant and non-merchant. A merchant is someone that deals in the goods. Risk of loss passes to buyer when goods are received. A non-merchant, risk of loss passes when non-merchant makes goods available. All right, now check this out. We're talking about transportation of the goods now. We've identified the goods and we're going to move them. Okay? When seller has completed the delivery, meaning it's got into your greedy little hands, you have title. All right, now merchants and non-merchants. A merchant is Amazon.com. Once the goods get in your greedy little hand, risk of loss passes. So that means that in terms, and while it's being shipped, if the goods are destroyed, Amazon.com is going to pay for it. Okay? If it's a non-merchant, like let's say you go to a garage sale and buy something. Okay, say, hey, I want that specific thing. The second that that individual makes those goods available, you bear the risk of loss. Okay? Now, negotiable documents representing existing goods identified at the time of contracting. All right? When documents are delivered, buyer has risk of loss. Okay? Documents representing the existing goods. Okay? Where we talked about the warehouse receipt and the bill of lading. Whenever you get that document, all right, that's when the risk of loss passes to the buyer. Okay? Now, future goods marked for shipments, right? Pay close attention to this. Okay? You have a shipment contract and a destination contract. In a shipment contract, the seller is liable until the goods are delivered to the carrier. Destination contract is seller is liable until goods are delivered to the destination. Okay, shipment contract. Once the seller gets it to FedEx, the post office, UPS, whoever, then, okay, the seller no longer has a risk of loss. That means that if UPS, the post office, FedEx, if they lose the good, the buyer bears the risk of loss. The buyer's going to have to go after the carrier to get back their goods. Destination contract, on the other hand, same thing. Even though the seller has given the goods to UPS, the post office, FedEx, whoever, they still bear the risk of loss until such time as those goods are delivered to the buyer. Okay? So make sure you know the difference between shipment contract and destination. Shipment, once it gets to the carrier, it's done. Destination, once it gets to the buyer, it's done. Okay? COD, cash on delivery. Seller retains possession until the buyer pays for them. Right? But this doesn't affect the risk of loss. All right, remember what we talked about with risk of loss. Risk of loss is what we've been talking about with the whole shipment contract and the destination contract. But the seller retains possession until they're paid for. Okay? So that means you deliver it, but they don't pay for it, you can come back and take it back as the seller. But the risk of loss, that doesn't change. It's still going to be shipment and destination. Okay? Auction sales. All right? Now, when that hammer falls, who'll give me $1, who'll give me $1, who'll give me two, do I hear three, do I hear 10, that, once it goes, in the fall of the hammer, it's contract. Okay? Free on board. Designated points to where the seller bears the risk and expense. Okay? You have shipment contract and destination contract. Free on board is going to say, hey, at this point, the risk of loss transfers. Okay? Sale of fungible goods. Goods of homogeneous nature sold by weight or measure. All right? Typically, you may purchase a percentage of the whole. Okay? So you want to buy oil, coal, wheat. I have this big old tanker truck full. Well, which oil is yours? It's going to be sold as a percentage. Okay? And that's how you're going to identify the goods. Now, with this section, pay close attention to the definitions and the differences between these different contracts. There are tools you can learn out in the real world, and that'll help you out. But for the exam, make sure you know the differences between these different definitions.